Good morning, everyone. Coming to you on early December 2nd. We got a foggy one this morning over here at the home place. So, welcome back to the Carter James Ranch, home of the Kansas South Pole. And obviously, we are not with the South Pole herd this morning. We got a noisy little calf right here. This is 1845. If you follow the channel for a while, this is the calf that was orphaned when her mom died a few months back. So, well, I say a few months back. Yeah, it might have been a month or 45 days ago. But today, I want to talk to you about registering animals, registered stock. Is it worth it? Is it a scam? I've got some thoughts on both sides of the matter. Wanted to start the conversation with the Wagyu herd here. Our entire Wagyu herd, with the exception of one animal, is registered full-bloods. We do have one purebred animal, which means at some point in her lineage, historically, she was bred to, or somebody was bred to a non-full-blood Wagyu. But then there's been enough generations that have followed her that she's gotten back up to 99% of a full-blood. So, the one thing being new to cattle, the one thing I have learned is, even on the Wagyu side of things, so many people will say, oh, hey, I raise Wagyu. And then once you kind of get down the road a little bit with them, more so you learn they're not full-bloods. They might have an Angus herd, and then they have a full-blood Wagyu bull that they breed with it, and those are called F1. So it's 50% Wagyu, 50% Angus. I run into that a lot. Even on some of these forums I'm on, somebody will post, hey, I'm looking for a full-blood heifer. I'm looking for a full-blood bull. And you have a lot of people say, hey, I have an F1, an F2, and an F3. And when you say F2, that just means you have an F1, like I just mentioned, is a 50% Wagyu, 50% something else. The next generation, if it's bred back to a full-blood Wagyu, will be 75% Wagyu, and that's called an F2. And then you just kind of keep going up until you hit purebred status, which that's probably at 93 or 94%. I don't know exactly what it is, but so I think on the registration side, for the Wagyu, it is super beneficial. Now, the one thing I do love from a, whoa, we got a, that's a poop, folks. That's not a, that's a little more runny than what we like. So we'll have to see what's going on. They have been getting a lot of protein lately. But going back to the registration on the Wagyu side, in order to register something, you actually have to have it DNA tested. So it is 100% verifying that it is what they say it is. We'll talk a little bit on the South Pole side when I get back over to the ranch this morning. But in that regard, the purpose of registering your animals is to verify that you have an animal that is a full-blood Wagyu. So in that regard, I think that's very beneficial. But the herd's doing well this morning. Feel bad for 1845. She might be feeling a little neglected this morning with it being a little cold. But she's done real well since her mom died. She's kind of been stealing some milk off some of these other 4 or 5 lactating moms. But kind of a foggy bottoms morning. So registration with this herd, super important. I've got a lot to say on the South Pole side when we get over to the ranch, when we walk through that herd. So is it worth it? On the Wagyu side, I'd say yes. Absolutely yes. To verify that the animal is what it is. All right, we're back over here at the Carter James with the South Poles. We just unrolled the bale of hay for them. So they are chowing down. Little baby calves, got a little dry matter to lay on. Cold morning here, and mainly cold because it's a little moist. So I want to start the video off here. A little update. This is the cow we had to take into the vet. Had her hoof looked at. She actually had have her hoof grinded down a little bit. So she's still gimping on it a little bit, but she's getting a lot better. So she has the equivalent of like a hangnail on her hoof. So she was really struggling walking for 4 or 5 days, and now she's barely got a little limp. So hoping she makes a full recovery on that. So here's Comanche. He's doing well. He's got some fall breeders he needs to take care of before we continue our conversation on the registered side of things with the South Poles, I wanted to show you some fertility we've been pounding down here. We've rolled out last 3 days 3 bales of hay, 1, 2, and 3, and then this is the 4th one that's fresh. So the cattle have really been pounded into the ground, mainly because it's soft. But look at all the poop laying down. They've done a pretty good job of eating a lot of it, so we are putting a lot of carbon down. So hopefully that pays us dividends in the spring. So far, wintertime here, getting a little colder. It's been a little wet. So we need to keep moving these gals, as we are starting to get a couple mud spots. So I will move them this afternoon. So on the registry, overall, yes, it is important to register your animals to verify what they are. Most of our herd here is full bloods. The majority are full bloods. We do have a few purebreds, which purebreds, like I mentioned earlier, are animals that at some point in their lineage were bred back to something that was not a full blood, but then in generations leading up to this have been bred back to full blood, so they are a high percentage animal. And then we have a couple 50% South Poles and a couple 75%, but majority are full bloods with a handful of purebreds and 1 or 2 other animals. So like I mentioned with the Wagyu Association, in order to register something, you have to have it DNA tested. With the South Pole Association, as of right now, you do not. So this animal right here, number 96, she's in the registry as a full blood. 2 owners ago, she was sold and the paperwork was not transferred to the owner that I ended up buying her from. So therefore, she is not able to be considered a full blood from a registration standpoint. So her calf, so she was bred back to a full blood bull, so her calf is now only considered a 50% animal. So that's too bad, because she really is a full blood. But from a paper standpoint, now I could have just probably kept her as a commercial South Pole and say yeah, but the paperwork is what verifies that also. That's a situation that I got myself into, not realizing and not understanding all the ins and outs of registration. For example, when I'm buying her, oh yeah, she's a full blood, but she can't be registered. And so then I don't know if I really picked up on that. So a little error on my part, not understanding what that was all about. So, but it is important to know what you got. Real important to know what you got. So I also want to talk about, we have bought animals from 4 different breeders. There's kind of 2 reasons for that. The main breeder I like to buy from, he didn't have any more animals this year. The second reason I bought from some different breeders is to get some different genetics. If you buy all from one breeder, you'll kind of always have genetics that are little, basically line breeding or inbreeding. So I bought from a couple different breeders. One thing I want to encourage everyone to do is be honest with everybody. We had an animal, a mama that showed up, and she's been downright aggressive in the sense that she's almost charged me a few times here in the pasture. And I'm hoping it's just because she's in a new environment, but she's acting a little nuts. And after the fact, when I called the breeder back and said, hey, have you ever had any problems with her? It came out then, oh yeah, she has been aggressive sometimes in the past. Which it's frustrating because, those types of things just need to be disclosed, because I probably wouldn't have bought her. And our philosophy here at the Carter James is we will never sell that animal to anybody. I'm not going to offset that problem to somebody else, and it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk of getting hurt. Yeah, and she's a full blood. She's a registered full blood. And I guess as we're talking about the registry, the number one goal of the registry is to confirm what you have. Going forward, my business philosophy will be, if an animal is like that and dangerous, she probably doesn't need to stay on the farm, and she's probably going to get ground into ground beef, because it's just not worth having her offspring have that in her. So it's frustrating, because it's not like these animals are super cheap, but if you get bamboozled, you got to deal with your mistakes, and that's a mistake that I got to deal with. So we're going to be analyzing that. She has a young calf, so I can't get rid of her now. She's a young male that he'll be turned into a steer and raised out for beef, so we'll see what happens. This really aggressive mom This is her calf that's laying down right here. He's kind of an oaf. I had actually had to treat him. He was not feeling too good when he got delivered, so he's just kind of, some calves are like that. Some calves don't have a lot of energy, and he's older, so he's just kind of beats to his own drum a little bit. But anyhow, so yes, it is worth registering your animals to verify what they are. And I think my overall thing is just be super honest with everybody. Don't sell people your problem, and don't trick them. So Zig Ziglar, the motivational speaker, he passed away, I'm going to say a few years ago, but now it's probably been longer than that. He had a quote that I loved. He says, you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And I just think that's a really good business model. You know, if you're in it to serve other people, get other people where they want to get to, by way of that philosophy, you'll get to where you want to get to. So unrolled some brome hay over here. The cattle are still loving some of their oat hay they're cleaning up. We'll move them this afternoon, and overall they're doing well. This mama right here is walking away from me. She's kind of aggressive towards her calf as well. That was disclosed, and in hindsight I still bought her. She's a full blood. Probably should not have bought her. So I've kind of made one, she was the one mistake, and then I kind of got bamboozled on the other one. Nona, this is Nona right here. Man, she's looking fat. She's staying real nice and healthy. She's given us 2 bull calves that have gone to the meat program. So, real happy with how Nona's doing. You doing all right, Nona? Doing okay? Yeah, she's doing well. So, all right, I'm going to quit rambling here. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. God bless. I hope you have a great weekend wherever you're at. Thanks for watching the Cara James Ranch channel, home of the Kansas South Pole. God bless.